You open your banking app. The screen loads, and for a second, you think it's a glitch. Your balance reads $1 billion. Your hands are shaking a little. You start doing the math in your head. The house, the flights, the version of your life where money is simply no longer a variable. It feels like the finish line. For a moment, it feels like the whole problem is solved. Here's the belief hiding underneath that fantasy: that money itself is the prize. Right now, on Earth, that prize is almost impossibly rare. Forbes counted 3,028 billionaires worldwide in 2025. $1 billion buys one person a mansion, a yacht, a private jet, and a life insulated from scarcity. So the logic seems to follow cleanly. If $1 billion buys one person that life, giving everyone $1 billion should buy everyone that life. Except it wouldn't. Not even close. Here's the puncture. Money is just a claim on goods. It's a medium of exchange, a way of trading for the actual things you want. A house, a seat on a plane, a loaf of bread. The number of houses on Earth doesn't change the instant your balance does. The number of yachts doesn't change. If every single person on the planet woke up with $1 billion new in their account at the same moment, the sellers of those houses and yachts would notice the exact same thing you would. Suddenly, everyone can pay more. So they'd charge more. But there is a version of everyone gets rich overnight that actually works. One that doesn't need a single new dollar printed. We'll get there. First, you need to see exactly how absurd the money version is, in real numbers. There are, as of 2025, about 8.2 billion people on Earth. Multiply that by $1 billion each, and you need to conjure roughly $8.2 quintillion from nothing. To put that in perspective, the world's entire money supply, cash, bank deposits, all of it, is commonly estimated at around $100 trillion. So this thought experiment isn't asking for a bit more money. It's asking for something on the order of 80,000 times more money than exists in the entire global economy today. Where would that money go? Nowhere real. It would chase the same finite number of homes, the same finite number of doctor's appointments, the same finite harvests of wheat and rice. And when a much larger stock of money chases the same stock of real goods for long enough, prices tend to rise to meet it. That's not a policy failure or a conspiracy. It's the most basic mechanism in economics. Flood the money supply while the supply of actual stuff stays flat, and the price of that stuff climbs until your new fortune buys roughly what your old one did. The world has actually run this experiment, not hypothetically, but for real, in Zimbabwe. By January 2009, the BBC was reporting from Harare that teachers couldn't afford to go to work, not because they didn't want to, because the cost of the bus ride there had exceeded a full day's pay. Showing up to your job was, quite literally, a losing trade. That same month, Zimbabwe's central bank issued a note worth $100 trillion. On its first day in circulation, the BBC reported it was worth about $30 US. 100 trillion of anything sounds like unimaginable wealth. It bought you a few groceries. Researchers estimated the peak of the crisis in mid-November 2008 at 79.6 billion % inflation in a single month. The $100 trillion note stood as the country's highest denomination ever printed, and by 12th of April 2009, Zimbabwe abandoned its own currency entirely. Not because people stopped wanting money, because the money had stopped meaning anything. So printing your way to universal wealth doesn't work. It never has. But there's a different question worth asking, one raised by the entrepreneur and investor Naval Ravikant in his widely shared 2019 talk, How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky. What if, instead of everyone waking up with $1 billion, everyone woke up as a brilliant engineer? Ravikant's argument is the hinge this whole video turns on. Wealth isn't money. Wealth is productive capacity. The houses, the medicine, the code, the crops, the actual stuff that gets built. Money is just how a society keeps score of who has a claim on that stuff. So if you hand the entire planet more dollars, you've only handed out more claims on the same pile of goods. But if you hand the entire planet the skill to build things, engineering knowledge, know-how, the ability to actually produce. Then the pile of goods itself grows. More houses actually get built. More medicine actually gets developed. More real things that enter the world. That's not inflation. That's abundance. This isn't just a thought experiment floating free of history. Something close to it has already happened on a smaller scale with food. Rising crop yields over the past century didn't just make grain cheaper. They let the world feed a fast-growing population without having to keep swallowing more and more farmland to do it. That's what real productivity gains look like. Not more claims chasing the same food supply, but more food. The gain shows up in the world, not just in a number on a screen. That's the difference the whole video has been circling. $1 billion for everyone is a bigger number in a shared ledger. 1 billion new engineers is a bigger world. You open the banking app one more time. This time, the balance reads 0. But underneath it, there's a single notification, a course enrollment, the first lesson in learning how to build the thing the world actually needs. The $1 billion was never going to be the win. Learning how to build something real always was.